Hi, it's Jenny, and today I thought I would help you make a splash into summer with this mixed media mermaid. Besides creating this gorgeous, very textured focal point, we are also going to have fun with our background techniques. I will show you how to make a bokeh background, which is a very trendy lighting technique for photography, but it's also all the rage in the paper crafting industry. For this piece, the bokeh effect really resembles bubbles rather than spots of light, so I played that up, but the technique is the same. We're going to transfer a Michelle Perkett digital stamp onto a 12 by 12 wood panel that has been primed with gesso. And I bought this image online and just printed it on my computer and used golden fluid matte medium to transfer it onto the wooden panel. I just painted the image on the right side up with the fluid matte medium, and then laid it down on the wood panel and burnished it well and let it dry. And then after it's dry, just come back with a water mister, spray over that, and take your finger and rub the paper off, and it's going to take away the paper but leave the image. Use some scrap cardstock and cut out circles using a spellbinder's die or whatever other method you use to cut out your circles. And you're going to use removable adhesive to arrange these on your background. And this is going to be the areas that don't have paint over them. With your circles affixed to the canvas, you're going to go ahead and start painting the background. And I used a combination of blues, starting with the lightest first and working to the darker. I used Aloha blue in velvet, the Fiji velvet, and then finished up with the Honolulu blue in Sorbet. Now it's time to start painting the hair, and just think about this as coloring in a coloring book, except now we're doing it with paints on a mixed media canvas. And I just used a variety of browns. In the velvets I used the Truffle, the Kona, the Portobello, and in the Sorbets I used the chocolate. And after I finished adding a lot of brown, I also decided, since she's a mermaid, she needed to be a little bit more exotic, so I added some Wineberry for some purple highlights. I finished painting all of the main color of the hair, I also went back and just sprayed over it all with cinnamon toast and the Colorations to help kind of blend the hair a little bit more. So now we're ready to start working on the shells that are in her hair, and we're going to use a lot of dimensional crystal on this step. For the pearls, we're going to use Blizzard, and you're just going to squirt it out of the container in kind of a circular motion, and that's going to create these really pretty pearls. For the other shells, I used some brighter colors. I used the Peony for the pink shells and the Guava for the orange shells. The champagne was just kind of a nice neutral color that was perfect for some of those brown tone seashells. And then the Sunbeam was great for the starfish. And this really creates a beautiful, glittery, dimensional effect that was perfect for a mermaid. Now, while the pearls were solid, for the shells, I just wanted this dimensional part to be more of an outline. So that's all I did. I just traced over the lines that were already on the digital stamp, and then later went back and painted them in using the velvets and the sorbets. I used a coral mask and the ink spot Colorations to add some more texture to my background, and I just used a scrap packaging to protect my mermaid while I sprayed this so she didn't end up with a blue face. I used a large sea oats stamp that I wanted to add to my corner, and the first thing I stamped it with was a black StazOn ink to just kind of ground the image. And then I came back and used a watermark ink and several embossing powders to add some variety of color and depth to it as well. I used an Earthtone olive, a Bodacious blue, which was a nice glittery blue, and then a primary Sherbert, which was kind of an orangey red. And somewhere in the process, I went ahead and took my circle masks off because I wanted some of the sea oats to appear in front of the bubbles rather than just behind them. I used the same spellbinders to cut a circle in a piece of acrylic to use as a stencil, and I just lined this up with my areas that were not painted and sprayed the Waimea Bay over it to make just a nice light blue, and then came back with a paper towel because I didn't want much ink on this at all. Now for this technique, you want a higher concentration of color and more opacity in the center of your circles. So I used a rounded foam tool, and I just painted some of the Honolulu blue sorbet in the center of it, and just used it to apply a deeper concentration of color to the center of the bubbles. I used my stencil again and a watercolor pencil in a deep blue to just go back and outline my circles and make them a little bit more noticeable. here's a close-up of what the bubbles look like finished. I talked about this earlier, but this is where I came back and used the velvet paints to paint in the solid part of my seashells. So I used the Tango for the orange shells and the Fiesta for the pink shells. And also, when I finished doing all of this, I wanted to kind of still bring the hair together a little bit more. So I used the Dazzle, which is a clear coat with glitter in it, just to paint over all of the hair and make her more of a sparkly mermaid. Unfortunately, when I painted my face, my memory card was full and I didn't realize it, so I don't have the pictures of that to show you. But basically what I did, I created the main colors of the flesh using pan pastels, and then just went back and shaded a little bit using some Gelatos. The eyes and the lips were painted using the Art Anthology paints. And I used a Pitt Artist Pen Big Brush marker in warm gray to draw in some of the lines that had faded a little bit around her eyelashes and her eyebrows and the chin line. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you'll join me again soon. If you're not already a follower of my YouTube channel, I hope that you'll subscribe, as well as the Art Anthology YouTube channel. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email. I'd be happy to help you out. Thanks.